Right, Catherine.
I've got a very loud voice, so I'm sure we can manage for that.
Catherine, I had a complaint from last time that said that some people couldn't hear. You can hear yourself. You can hear yourself, and I can just hear you, but other people can't hear you.
Following on from what you were saying, this is actually a question to VJ, through the chair. You've been talking about the role of United Nations, and I wondered if you could please, I keep reading this new buzzword which is called responsibility to protect, and the word keeps coming up in all sorts of New World issues and so on. So a couple of questions. When did they come up with this? I understand that it means that the UN can step in when population safety is not guaranteed. So when did they come up with this, please? Which events moved the UN to come up with this new notion? And finally, in view of everything that's been said, the big question is, what are the actual practical changes on the ground that we're going to see under the new responsibility to protect? That's it, really. Okay.
Briefly, can you make this brief as well?
Okay, I've been ordered to make it brief. Thanks, Catherine, for this question about responsibility to protect, or in short, R2P. Well, it came into being in 2005. It was the outcome of World Leaders Summit, as they meet every year in September in New York. And Kofi Annan and before that, they've been trying to get this on board for years and years and years. The reason being that United Nations respect the sovereignty of all nations. So you cannot go into a country and intervene in that country, because the government or the people who are running the country, a sovereign country, they can do what they like in that country. But it was not happening like that, because again and again and again there were genocide, rapes, killings, murders going on, and crimes against humanity were perpetrated on the government was doing it on its own citizens, believe me. So then the international community and the United Nations came up with this idea, but that if that was happening, genocide and crimes against humanity, and the other thing was, if the government is either unable or unwilling to control that genocide, or they're having a blind eye, then it is the duty of the international community to intervene. Well, there are two views to it, but I'm just telling you some of the examples, like we can say Kosovo, for example. Well, Congo, there are at the moment the International Criminal Code, which is responsible. Any country can bring a case against, as at present, the prosecutor of International Criminal Court, Louis Ocampo, have got a case. He's got a very successful case against the dictator of Liberia. Remind me his name. Sorry? Taylor, Charles Taylor. And now he has got another case against the president of Sudan, President Bashir of Sudan, who has been given an arrest warrant, and because the leaders of Africa are backing him up, and you cannot arrest him, and he's running around Africa, jetting in planes here, there, and all that, with the arrest warrant cannot be executed. And at the same time, you and me know he's killed 2.5 million of its own people in Sudan. So that is the tragedy. So this is a very noble and a great concept. The difficulty is how to enforce it. That is where we are lost. But we should not give up, because it took us 20 years. I was campaigning for it, and most of you and everybody, to get it on board. But the thing is, because it's early days, And we have to have one or two successful campaigns to get it on board. People, wherever I go, like in Scotland and everywhere, they ask me, why can't we under this get Tony Blair and President Bush to bring it to justice? I always tell them, look, before we do that, let's get some African dictators and others who are easy thing to, not to say that we should not do against Blair and Bush, but let us get moving from one step. You can have the first step to go to the top of the ladder. Thank you.
I thought Blair and Bush would come in here somewhere. I can't think why. Okay, but I mean, really briefly.
Yeah. I think one of the main origins, as Vijay rightly said, of R2P was Kosovo, which was illegal. It was contrary to the charter. It was a dry run for Iraq, contrary to much current mythology. And R2P is partly an attempt to bring countries like Britain and America under control and stop them engaging in humanitarian intervention, so-called, without any form of international control. What it does is put all this under the authority of the Security Council, even though the Charter, strictly speaking, doesn't cover this kind of intervention. But it remains the case that Security Council authority is required before countries can intervene on humanitarian grounds in other countries' affairs.
We're going to wrap this up now. Catherine, I know Catherine wanted to say something about membership forms and details and so on. Did you want to say something, Catherine?
Yes, a bit, yes.
Okay.
Just say it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try and be very brief. As said before, I typed this out rather late last night, or yesterday morning, should I say. There's a mistake on the sheet, and some people know, but some people were late. The UNA Putney and Roehampton branch AGM, I've written 18th of March, and I believe that's the 18th of May, so apologies for that. If I could please draw your attention to our new website. It's not that new now, it's 6 months old, but it's up and running. It's at the bottom of the sheet. If you need information about us, what we are hoping to do, we upload that as often as we can. www.unaputneyroehampton.org.uk. If you forget to put the .uk in, you won't get through to that, I'm afraid to say. We've got an attendance list here. We'd be very grateful if people would be so kind to sign it, because of course we're trying to build up the branch and we'd like to be in a position to let you know what's going on. Regarding the next event, which Joe has already mentioned, Tuesday 9th of March, I just want to take the opportunity to have the courtesy to mention that Martha Jean Baker, the first named speaker, has just been nominated 3 days ago as the International President of Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, which now means that she's jet-setting all over the world, going to various conferences, and I'm afraid that therefore I hope that Vijay will be able to speak at this, but I have to say that I'm currently renegotiating, or trying to renegotiate, both speakers for the reasons I've just given you. There's been a change in their status, but we will go ahead with that event. And I've got plenty of people in mind who can come and step into the shoes of Martha Jean Baker. To continue, am I being too long-winded, Rob?
No.
Oh, thank you, right. To continue, we're always very delighted if you'd like to consider joining United Nations Association. If you do join, we have got membership forms here. And should you take one with you, if you join United Nations Association, consider it like a family, if you like. You will have access to the national events, local events, and of course access to these events. And we also produce, well, this was produced 4 years ago, but now 4 times a year we have the New World magazine, which is, I think it's a very good magazine to produce 3 times a year, so that comes with the membership. And also, you know, in the computer age, you will get a monthly e-shot of who's doing what and where, so it's a very useful way of getting information on all the United Nations Association activities. A couple of other things. VJ has got a very excellent display here, and he's written the United Nations and its future, the 21st century, and he's already written another book, the Fortune Forum Code for a Sustainable Future. So if I can please draw your attention to our information table. And finally, two other things. If anybody is feeling martyr-like and would like to join our committee, we're always very happy to have more people, please. We've already got a very strong committee, but we would like some more people. And finally, we have a purple bucket there, and if you are in the mood to give us a small donation, that would be very helpful for us to do our work. That's it. Thank you very much indeed.